Welcome back to another episode of Cor Counsel, the show where we explore all things masculinity through 15 portals of conversation. I am your host, professional rugby player for Toulon in England, Kyle Sinckler. My co-host is Oliver James. Ollie has worked as a mentor with professional men within the worlds of sport, entertainment and business for the past decade. With that being said, let's get this show started. As mentioned, there are 15 portals of conversation which all relate to masculinity, which you can see on your screens right now. From here, Ollie will choose a portal, I'll initiate a question, we'll then have a conversation for around 10 to 15 minutes on an answer which directly relates to men. Look, we all know you've got things to do, so we're going to get straight to the point. But before we do, I just want to say a massive thank you to our friends and partners at Vivo Barefoot for sponsoring the show. Look, we here at Cor Counsel truly believe we all need to return to the way we were meant to move, from connection to the ground up. So make sure you visit vivobarefoot.com for all of the latest and greatest in barefoot function and fashion, and to get yourself reconnected. Thank you so much, guys. Ollie, what's the portal for today's show, bro?
All right. Get the graphic up. So, I'm going to go straight to the end today.
Okay. What we got?
I feel like this one's going to be more of a topic for you, actually. Let's go with number 15. Number 15, anger, please.
Oh, here we go.
Maybe I'll take a break today. This one can be... You got more to say on this one than me, I think.
Yeah, true. No, it's all going to come out. It's all going to come out in the open now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Clock's on. All right, look, as Ollie mentioned, I'm no stranger to anger and how it manifests itself. Personally, for me, on my reflection, I loved playing that character because of the energy I would get from others. But also, when I was angry, I did have some of the best performances of my career thus far. But then on the flip side, I've had a lot of moments that I regret due to, my anger. Ollie, from your experience, is having anger as a man detrimental, or is it something that is positive?
I would start by saying it's unavoidable. It's an emotion. It's an emotion that it's not something that we should feel guilty about. It's not something that we should teach young men to feel guilty about. There's something I've never taught you to feel guilty about from a performance perspective.
That's true.
It is something, an emotion. We would say when you're angry, you're seeing through the lens of your anger. It's a vibrational, it's going to sound a bit, whatever it sounds like, but it's going to sound, to say that it's a vibrational frequency, it's a frequency that your body is resonating with. I am angry. You are in that low level of vibration. And as I say, it's something that is unavoidable and we need to teach young men. I teach clients that it is something that can be used for positive if somebody has that awareness. So we would call it a transmutation agent. I can be angry about something which is unavoidable. Something's going to happen in my day. It's going to make me angry at some point. You're driving along, someone cuts you up. I'm angry. If you're on the way to the gym, then great. You take that heat, that frequency, that vibration, and you go and transmute it and put it into your workout. And you have a great workout.
Yeah, I see.
That's an excellent way to transmute your anger, your emotion. You can't suppress it. Don't ever suppress it. If you suppress it, it will burn you. I mean, what color would you associate with anger?
Red, bro.
Red.
Red fire. That's the first thing. When I'm angry, yeah, like you said, heat, for sure.
And I think when I met you, your anger was using you. It was something you were trying to suppress. And with a little correction, you very quickly picked up on how to use your anger as this transmutation agent. It's an alchemy. It's to take something a low level frequency and turn it into a higher frequency, into higher performance. And I know, for example, the 2019 World Cup I worked with you on, we very quickly got you to understand that if you turn your anger into something that you transmute into performance, it becomes a positive thing rather than trying to suppress it. Coaches are trying to tell you to suppress it, for example, and it's just not possible. We've got to do something with it and then get to the root cause of why you're angry in the first place. But I certainly remember a game, you were lined up in a particular scrum. I think it was against Australia, actually, wasn't it? And there was a moment that we reflected on after that game whereby usually you would have lost your cool. They were trying to wind you up, but you held on to it and used it, put it, channeled it into your performance and had a great game. So I think that's my way of looking at it from your perspective, for sure.
Yeah, and I would say the key, and I think to any young man listening who does have anger issues, well, it's not an issue, but is experiencing the feeling of anger, what actually helped me in our work, Ollie, was coming to the root cause of it. Because once I kind of had the understanding, okay, I'll be open and honest from my perspective and my journey. Because of things that happened in my childhood, I was very angry and I felt betrayed in a sense. And to cut a long story short, I thought, everyone around me was going to betray me. And once I kind of got that understanding, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And it was like overnight, like you said, it was gone. And I used it positively, like you mentioned there in that situation against Australia in the quarterfinal against a very, very good team at the time. So Ollie, in terms of anger, obviously not everyone's going to have the privilege of having a psychologist or a performance coach, etc. Like how can they go about finding what actually is the root cause of the problem and addressing it?
I think that's something that will make itself known to you if you have the courage to look within based on whatever's going on in your external circumstances. You can find the answer to what makes you angry if you have the courage, as I say, to reflect upon that internally. It's then understanding that you have a responsibility to correct it and also take responsibility for transmuting the anger. So for me, a boy who's angry, once he learns that he has a responsibility to the anger, why would you want to take that on somebody else? Because that's what most of us do, don't we? We take our anger out on other people. So why would you want to do that? Why would you want to burn somebody else? Why would you want to hurt somebody else with that anger? That's where the responsibility comes in. I think we can all say that or reflect upon a time where we've used anger incorrectly and we've taken it on somebody else. And I would say that's not fair. So it's recognizing that it's unavoidable that you're going to feel it. You work out why you're getting angry, what in your environment is creating that emotion of anger. You can focus on fixing that. You don't need a psychologist for that. You don't need a guru. You don't need a sage. You can focus on fixing that yourself and correcting whatever's happening. And from there, until you do correct it, recognize that you have a responsibility to the anger. It's not okay to take it out on other people and for them to be damaged because of the heat coming from you, if that makes sense. The red, the fire. I know Kyle as the Hulk, and I know Kyle as Bruce Banner. And I'm telling you, Bruce Banner, when he's actually, what we did with you is your angry side was kind of the showman, and it was the Hulk. But when we actually came, I remember after that 2019 World Cup, starting to look at you using the Hulk as, using your anger positively, but doing so as a technician, as a craftsman. And you taking responsibility for that anger rather than allowing it to control you and hurt others in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say that's a big word there, responsibility for anger, not taking it out on other people and instead using it as something positive.
For sure. And like you mentioned there with my own personal journey, it did take some time in actually understanding where I was at from a rugby perspective, because I was using anger every game, every training session. I actually wasn't a good rugby player. I remember it actually took us some time. You're like, Kyle, you actually have to tackle low. You actually have to be a rugby player now. You can't just rely on raw emotion and just taking it out on others, which I was lucky enough to have the rugby field as my outlet to do that. But obviously, some people that aren't as lucky to do so. Ollie, we've touched on, like you mentioned there, the responsibility of, I guess, taking responsibility of your energy, of your anger, and putting it somewhere positive. But I feel, if I'm being honest, in our modern day world, anger's a little bit different now. I feel when I was growing up and a lot younger, it was a lot more in your face. Whereas fast forward to today, I would say a lot of men suppress their anger, and it's more passive aggressive as opposed to in your face. Can you say if there's someone listening in and they are scared to, I guess, take responsibility and put it in the right place because they're just suppressing it? What would, I guess, the first steps be in dealing with that?
Well, it comes back to maybe what I said in the beginning there in terms of shame. I think we've taught young men, boys, to be ashamed of being angry. We've said, it's not the correct thing for them to get angry about something that's going on in their environment or circumstance. And that isn't correct. It's okay for you to be angry about someone treating you incorrectly or unfairly, however that plays out. I think it's letting people know from a young age that there's nothing wrong with anger. What can go wrong is how you use it. And as I said, at the end of my last sentences there, it sounds very simple, but it's something that we must use positively. And it is as simple as that. If we can teach young men or grown men, who are dealing with anger, to quite simply use it positively, do not be ashamed of it. You've done nothing wrong by being angry about something. Something's triggered you. Seek and work to find out the root cause of that. Say, you don't need a psychologist, you don't need a sage or a guru. You can work that out yourself. In the meantime, while you're fixing it, be sure to use it positively. Put it into a gym session. Put it into a rugby match. Put it into writing something. Put it into rapping something, whatever it is. I'm sure there's lots of angry young kids in the streets of Southeast London who, have aspirations to be musicians, rappers, whatever. And, they can go and channel that aggression into something meaningful when it comes to a piece of art, a song. So, and those are just some examples, but it quite simply boils down to using the anger positively. If you can do that, you're taking responsibility for it. And just that final recognition there of, do not be ashamed of it. You've done nothing wrong by being angry. You just need to know how to use it. And the simple answer is use it positively.
Ollie, thank you as always for your insight, your knowledge and your wisdom. Guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all our latest episodes on our YouTube channel, and do not forget to hit that like button. Also, please follow us on all our social media platforms. If you like what you heard from Ollie and want to learn more, visit saveyourworld.com and follow Save Your World on Instagram. Genuinely, thank you for making us part of your day. We will catch you all next episode. Take care.